So before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Lekwungen and Wasanich peoples. We acknowledge their welcome and graciousness to the community members, students, athletes, and staff who seek wellness and knowledge here. Thank you. So just a little bit of Zoom etiquette. Many of us are very familiar with Zoom and over the past couple of years, but I just ask everyone to please keep their videos, for the speakers, everyone's going to keep their videos off for now. And when you're speaking, turn your video on and leave it on until you finish speaking. All guests, please ensure you're on mute. And there will be time for questions at the end, probably because some of your questions may be answered during the presentation. So save your questions for the end, please. So Pisces Vision. Our vision is transforming lives through healthy activity and sport. We work with thousands of people every year of all abilities, ages, and backgrounds, helping them to lead healthy and active lives. We successfully deliver programs and have an expanding focus in the area of youth performance development. And the Canadian Sports School is an excellent, very well-established program now within Pisces operations. So we have some wonderful partners at Pisces. The Canadian Sport Institute Pacific, not yet, sorry, stay there. The Canadian Sport Institute Pacific and Camosun College. The Canadian Sport Institute Pacific offers programs and services to the Olympic, Paralympic level athletes. And Camosun delivers educational programs through the Centre for Sport and Exercise Education. Along with all of our programming, we are a hub of activity and the go-to location for high performance sport, training, education, and development. Pisces is a charitable organization, and this allows us to deliver affordable programming and also seek funding to help subsidize and deliver our programs. So our partners at Canadian Sports School, this program would not be possible without these great partnerships. And Sauk School District, Wayne Kelly is here tonight to speak on their behalf, has just provided us with an excellent backbone for the educational portion of the program. And we would not be here without this backbone. And then Canadian Sport Institute Pacific offered us the program. They used to run this program for over 10 years, and they offered Pisces the opportunity to take it over as it was such a nice fit with our programming and our developing youth athletes. So we jumped at the opportunity last year and started delivering the program really with the same curriculum, with the same great coach, starting this past September. We now license the program from CSI Pacific, and so they do have some oversight and ensure quality. They also provide many wonderful speakers for our seminars. Dave Hill will speak a little bit about the program's success in a moment. So I like by opening this photo of our current student cohort. There's an amazing group of students here, and they're all in grades 10, 11, and 12, and they represent different schools from different school districts and different sports. So just to give you an idea of the schools represented, we have Royal Bay, Belmont, Claremont, Lambert Park, Oak Bay, Pacific Christian, Reynolds, Sides, Spectrum, and Stellies. And among the sports this year, we have hockey, artistic gymnastics, curling, cycling, fastball, field hockey, judo, karate, mountain biking, rock climbing, rowing, soccer, softball, swimming, tennis, and volleyball. And it's just a super group of student athletes, and they're all so supportive of one another. So I'd now like to introduce Wayne Kelly to say some words about our partnership.
Thanks, Stacy. Again, my name's Wayne Kelly. I'm a district principal in the school district, and I run all of our sports academy programs that we have in our schools there. And one of a really bright spot of what I do is I'm also the principal of Canadian Sports School. The unique thing compared to my other job in the Sauk School District, where we run the academies within the school, is this is a sports school that is joining all three districts, SD 61, 62, and 63, which is really very unique. You don't see that in very many spots in Canada, where the students can remain in their home schools, and they do their core courses there. And my role is to have a teacher in place, and you'll see Martin a little bit later on in the program. And in order to have these students training part of the day, and at school or home schools, the other part of the day, is we do provide the opportunity for those courses. And Martin will come on and talk a little further about that. But, that picture was just fantastic, Stacey, just to see all the different schools of sports represented, and the smiling faces. And it reminds me of why this partnership is so wonderful. So thanks again, and I will stick around if parents or the students that are online have any questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wayne. I would now like to invite David Hill, the Director of System Enhancement at the Canadian Sport Institute Pacific, to say some words, and welcome, Dave.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stacey and Laura Allen. And I also just want to say thank you to Wayne for his continued support from the Sauk School District. If we didn't have that support, it would be very challenging to run the model of school that we do have. And like he said, it's a very unique model. I also want to really go back to maybe some of Stacey's slides and just talk to why Pisces is a great partner in this. And really, if you know Pisces, you know that many of their outreach programs are in elementary schools, developing physical literacy, so they have a nice touch there. But then that sports school becomes a really good opportunity for kids to supplement their training once they start specializing perhaps in a sport or maybe a couple of sports. And then obviously the linkages with Camosun College create a great pathway for students that may be looking to move on to something like sport management while they continue their career. So it's really nice to see how Pisces has really developed that pathway. But maybe I'll just move on to what we do. I mean, we don't shy away from the fact that we power performance and inspire excellence. And I think if you are at all tuning into the Beijing Olympics, you can be somewhat proud of our Canadian representation at the Olympic Games. And certainly that is a big part of what we provide services towards. We have what we call the Canadian Sport Institute Network, where we are one of 7 other Canadian Sport Institutes or Canadian Sport Centers across the country. And all of us are either involved in creating opportunities through sport science, sport medicine for Paralympic and Olympic level athletes, but also we do a lot of work in the developmental areas to support provincial sport organizations. In the BC section of the slide, that are those of you that are know your geography of Canada, you can see there's quite a network of regional centers, and we are part of what we call the Regional Alliance. And Pisces, being a part of that, offers the Canadian Sports School here in Victoria, but we do have a couple of other sports schools. 2 of them up in northern BC in Smithers and Prince George. And then we also have a sports school in the Okanagan and Kelowna. So under our licensing agreement, really what we're trying to do is provide a common standard by which the sports school can be delivered, and particularly around the supplemental physical educate or physical training that is being provided. And Laura Allen is going to speak to that in her part of the presentation later on. So we have had some great success over the years. We do look at how athletes move through this pathway. Many athletes may come into the sports school really just starting some aspect of competing within their sport, but soon afterwards, many of these athletes will convert within what we call the Podium Pathway. And what that means is that they become identified by their provincial sport organization to play in representational games or go to national championships. We've had some great success with students, obviously being involved in different sports. You can see there that we've had a wide variety of sports, and Stacey has alluded to that. But then the other part of the pathway is how many of those athletes actually move on to U sport or NCAA sports. So that is a really good conversion rate when you look at about 70% of the alumni, and it's probably actually more than that now, moving on to university sports. And we've had some great success with certain athletes, a couple of rugby players there. Sophie DeGoody is still quite active, and also in field hockey as well. And the field hockey athletes, of course, just qualifying for the world championships through the Pan Am qualifications just recently. So that's great news. And then over the next slide, you can see that we have had some athletes move right to the top of the pathway. An Olympic medalist in Charity Williams back in 2018. Riley Pickerel, who is still involved in cycling, and Mel Pemble, who competed at the Paralympic Games, and also I think is now transitioning to cycling as well. So interesting to see that they've really laid the foundation through the Canadian Sports School, and we're quite proud to see how these athletes have really moved through the pathway to some success at the highest level in the sport. So thank you very much for having me on, Stacey. I will stay for a little bit longer, but as I said, I do have another function that I have to get onto, but it's been great to come in and just support the sports school.
Thank you very much, Dave. So the agenda for this evening, we've given you a little bit of background already, and Laura Ellen will then speak about the Ignite Athlete Development portion of the program, which is the training. We'll then hear about academic planning around the academics, educational side of the program. We'll have information on the application process, and then there'll be time for some questions. Oh, and of course, within all of those areas, we have some athletes, some of our student athletes speaking. So we look forward to hearing from them tonight. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about Laura Ellen and Martin Hoff. Laura Ellen is our Canadian Sports School coach. She has her master's in Human Movement Sciences in Thermal Physiology. She's a certified strength and conditioning specialist and certified NCCP Gymnastics Foundations coach. So a little bio on Laura Ellen, and we also like to call her LE if you hear us saying that. While growing up in Ontario with a love for figure skating, rowing, rugby, and track and field, Laura Ellen always knew that sport would be a big part of her life. She has a varied career in and an extensive education in strength and conditioning coaching and sport development. She's worked with Beach Volleyball Canada, speed skating in the Netherlands, and varsity swimming, rugby, and soccer. In 2016, she moved to the Netherlands to study thermal physiology for her master's. And following her master's, she moved to Victoria, which we're very fortunate, and took on the position of the Canadian Sports School coach in 2019. So this is her third year of the program. And then before Laura Ellen speaks, I'll just introduce Martin as well. Martin is new to the Canadian Sports School this year. After several years of teaching a variety of subjects, Martin brings his experience in physical education and his enthusiasm for sport and health to the Canadian Sports School. He was born and raised on Vancouver Island, and he adopted a West Coast lifestyle early in life that includes sailing, hiking, skiing, and surfing. We have really enjoyed Martin's contributions to the sports school this year, and he always tells me it's such a pleasure working with these high-performing student athletes. I'm now going to pass the torch over to Laura Ellen to talk about the Ignite Athlete Development Program.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming on the call tonight. It's a pleasure to have you all, even though it's just virtually. As Stacey mentioned, my name is Laura Ellen, and I've been the Canadian Sports School coach for about 3 years now. So the program that we run are obviously our program is called the Canadian Sports School, but on the athletic side, we have an Ignite Athlete Development. I'm just going to go into the background of it, and then later I will speak on the weekly schedule and what that curriculum looks like. So what we like to foster, and we're lucky to be at Pisces with all our program partners, is a high performance culture. So we expose our athletes to have access to professionals in their field, such as dietitians, nutritionists, and we also have a lot of national team athletes training at our facility. So it's a very unique culture in the sense that our young athletes get to train alongside or get to interact or run into some Olympians in their training environment. What we also like to foster is that they train with fellow like-minded athletes. So everyone in the sports school is very dedicated to their sport as well as their academics, and it helps everyone excel together. Like I said before, we like to foster an integrated support team where we have access to professionals in their fields. And I'll speak a little bit more about the seminars and what that looks like, as well as Martin later on. I also have a little video. This is us at Gymnastics, just doing some balance beam work, and we have an awesome gymnastics coach in the program. Her name is Broken. So our Canadian Sports School program pillars, so like I mentioned in the previous slide, is that we have sport performance seminars. So on Mondays, we have sport performance seminars where, like I said, they have access to elite professionals in their fields. So this previous Monday, we had Vanessa Soares, who is a nutritionist for the Canadian Sport Institute of Pacific. She specifically works with Rugby Canada. We also have mental performance as well as leadership seminars. And then the second one is Ignite Athlete Development. And that's strictly talking about the physical training that our students are exposed to at sports school. Another thing that students get access to is an independent study block supervised by a teacher. So this supports keeping a balance between academics and athletics. They also get credit for participating in their sports. So all those training hours outside of sports school, such as the rowing practices or field hockey practices, they also earn academic credits toward that. Our weekly schedule, so Mondays consist of a seminar and a speed session. Tuesdays are their first strength session of the week. Wednesdays are gymnastics, so we're actually off site for that at Inspire Sports. Thursday is our second strength session. And then Friday, we have no sports school to allow students to either travel, compete, or catch up on any of those athletic or academic tasks. In this lovely pandemic world, we obviously take our athletes' safety and health very seriously. So at Pisces, we have a lot of cleaning protocols in place. We also have a mask mandate that when you're traveling throughout the facility, you have to wear a mask. And this is just to ensure that our athletes as well as our staff are safe and comfortable in their training environment. And with that, I would like to invite Adele Winker. She is a second-year mountain biking athlete at the sports school to speak about culture.
Hi, my name is Adele. This is my second year at sports school. I'm in grade 12 and my sport is mountain biking. Being in an individual sport, I love coming to CSS because of the team environment. Everyone already has something in common, a love for sport, which makes it easy to relate to each other. Because sports school is from grades 10 to 12, you also get to socialize with people in different grades, which I really enjoy and is not as common in a traditional high school. One of my favorite parts is how everyone motivates and encourages each other, whether that be in the gym or at gymnastics. I've made so many friends here, and being at sports school has made my high school experience so much better than it would have been without it.
Thank you, Adele. And with that, I would like to invite our second student speaker. His name is Gage Riley. He's a second year athlete at sports school, and his sport is men's artistic gymnastics.
Hi, my name is Gage Riley. I'm an artistic gymnast. I'm in grade 11, student at Reynolds. It is my second year at the Canadian Sports School, and I'm going to be talking about the culture of CSS as well. Throughout my 2 years at sports school, I've experienced an open environment of like-minded athletes who are all striving to their best in sports, school, and all aspects of their life. Being in this environment always makes you try your best, even if you don't know you're doing it. You will subconsciously be working as hard as you can because everyone else around you is, and just they motivate you so much to just always try, even if you're not fully sure if you can do it. You also have so many people around you, your coaches, your teachers, all the members at Pisces that are all doing their best to help you do your best. In my first year at CSS, I was a lot more shy, and I would not do something like this, like speaking in front of a bunch of people. I would be so nervous about it. So I would have a bunch of my friends last year that, like, when we would be doing our seminars, they would always call upon me to speak, just to try to build that confidence and make me realize that if I make a mistake in my speaking, it will not be the end of the world. And I just found that really helpful, and not just that aspect of public speaking in my life, but like to go for new things and try it, like even if I'm not sure what the outcome's going to be. And then because I'm an individual sport, my training group, I also compete against. So there's always that aspect of like rivalry, because to do well in your sport, it's like to win, you have to beat the people that you're training against. So you want them to do their best so you can beat them at their best and do your best. With CSS, because everyone's in their own sport, I find it very helpful because everyone is pushing their hardest to do their best in their sport. And I find that that really helps me try my best to do what I can in my sport and lead with the best foot forwards.
Awesome. Thank you, Gage. So moving on, so like I mentioned earlier, sorry guys, what we do on the athletic side at sports school is called Ignite Athlete Development. So it's a specific curriculum that was made when the sports school first started, and it was to target that long-term athlete development in every young athlete's career. So my job is really to create that foundation for our young athletes so that they're prepared when they choose to go further in their sport, or if they choose to go further in their sport. I don't think I can top the bio that Stacy gave me, but a little bit about my background further. It's my third year as the sports school coach. I have been certified as a strength and conditioning specialist for about 10 years now. I did my master's in the Netherlands, specifically in thermal physiology. And due to my opportunity at sports school and my job, I have been able to get a lot more NCCP qualifications, and specifically gymnastics. I have a broad coaching experience. When I started in my undergrad, I was very lucky to intern as a strength and conditioning coach. I didn't even know that was a profession, and here I am today. I'm an athlete myself, or I could say I used to be. I started in figure skating when I was very young, and advanced to track and field and rowing and rugby throughout high school, as well as in my university career. So the program that we run on the athletic side is called Ignite Athlete Development, as you can see. There are 3 things that we do, and we focus on strength, which is in the weight room. We focus on sprinting. So on the sprinting side, we focus on building a technique. Okay, so we focus on acceleration as well as top speed. And then that last one is gymnastics. So our strength training, like I said previously, we focus on that foundation. So we talk about a lot of our how to squat, how to deadlift, how to push and pull. And then we like to advance it to some Olympic lifting. I really like Olympic lifting because there's a skill competency to it. And it allows athletes to challenge themselves on a lot of things such as strength, power, and speed. That second one, and what we do every Wednesday, is gymnastics. And we're lucky to have a program partner such as Inspire Sports. Gage actually comes out of Inspire Sports as a comp gymnast there. And as you can see in this picture, we have a lovely facility, and we have access to a whole array of things such as a huge gymnastics floor with fun springs, trampolines, rings, bars, balance beams, everything like that. Gymnastics in our curriculum is to have that fun component. It also translates a lot to building that flexibility and strength in ways that most of our athletes are not used to. So it's pushing that comfort zone. Last year, we had an athlete graduate and we talked about why gymnastics was helpful to him. And he said, I was in a volleyball game and I bailed, but I did a shoulder roll out of it. And it taught him how to bail out of just probably something that would otherwise cause an injury. The last thing we do is sprinting. So I like to call these speed sessions. And I'm not telling our athletes to run many, many laps. It's more on that technique component. So focusing on that acceleration or change of direction for field sport athletes. And then that top speed is what you're seeing over kind of a little bit of a longer distance. And what this allows our athletes to do is run more efficient. And with that efficiency, they can run for longer distances in their sport. We also do yearly testing. So we do anthropometrics, and that's just a fancy word for height, weight, and wingspan. The second one we do is a 30-meter sprint test with a 10-meter fly. And power. So at the end of the year, we do some complexes in regard to Olympic lifting, just to see how our athletes have progressed with their technique. And we also do vertical jump, which is also power and a little bit of strength. So we do vertical jump in the CSI Pacific lab at Pisces. So are you a good fit for sports school? So will you relentlessly pursue excellence in high performance pathway? Like our culture speaker said, we're all pushing to the best of our ability, no matter if it's in academics or athletics. Do you want to be a future Olympian, Paralympian, or national team member? And are you interested in becoming a better and more well-rounded athlete? Lastly, would you like to be around like-minded individuals in a high-performance environment? So with that, I would like to introduce our third athlete speaker. Her name is Rhys Carter. She's a third-year athlete at sports school.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rhys Carter, and my sport is tennis, and I'm a third year in the program. Over my time in the program, I've seen so much improvement in my sport due to the work with Laura Ellen. On Mondays, the sprint sessions is one of the most important sessions for me as a tennis player, and I've noticed a big improvement in my agility on the court. I came into the program with little sprint training experience, and I'm now graduating from CSS with a much faster sprint time. A big part of this is how much Laura Ellen focused on the technique. My coaches and myself have noticed a huge difference on the court with regards to how faster I'm getting. I love our lifting sessions, and once you're in upper year, Laura Ellen creates more personalized workouts, which have really benefited me this year. She does a great job of making sure all athletes are lifting correctly, so we are never getting injured. In my 3 years of sports school, I've only had one injury, and it was due to tennis. Laura Ellen was working with me to ensure that it was getting the care and attention it needed to recover. We also do gymnastics every Wednesday that Laura Ellen has mentioned. Coming into the program, I thought of gymnastics just as a fun Wednesday activity, and I didn't really think much about the transferable benefits. I've now committed to the University of Arizona, and all of these skills that I've learned in sports school have helped me grow tremendously as an athlete, person, and tennis player. I would definitely not be where I am today without this program.
Awesome, thank you, Rhys. And moving on to our second speaker about athletics is Thomas Codoy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas, as just mentioned. I'm a second-year athlete in this program. My sports are soccer and volleyball. Today, I'll be talking to you guys a little bit about the athletic part of the program and how I benefited from it personally. So on Mondays, we have sprint sessions, which help athletes with their speed, agility, and technique. And as a soccer player, I've seen vast improvements on my speed and technique over the years while attending this program. Honestly, I had no idea how important it was to have proper technique, but once I got that down, I was able to bring that into the field, and I was able to beat people to the ball faster, which was really good. On Wednesdays, we have gymnastics, and gymnastics really helped me with my balance and my flexibility. Like looking back, compared to my first year, I wasn't able to touch my toes without bending my knees. I think Laura Ellen remembers that very well, but that was fixed, and I feel a lot more comfortable doing stretches and the balance beam, and overall it's just helped me with my balance and my flexibility. And finally, move on to our Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have lifting sessions. Coming into the program, I was not that comfortable in the weight room, and I think CSS does a great job on getting athletes comfortable and confident while lifting, and that's very important. As athletes, we tend to feel sore, and sometimes we have to deal with injuries that can hold us back. But having Laura Ellen coach us has taught me that there's always something for you to do, even while dealing with injuries. Whether it's, there's no sitting out or even sitting down in some cases. But again, Laura Ellen has done a great job working around injuries and problems to assure you that you always get something out of the sessions. Laura Ellen also works very hard on setting up programs for all the athletes, and she also takes time to create sport-specific workouts, as Rhys mentioned before. And it helps the athletes just continue to work on their sports and connect their sports to the lifting sessions, which is very important. Thank you guys for your time, and I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, Tommy. And with that, we would like to move on to the academic portion of the evening, and I would like to introduce Martin.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Martin Hoff. This is my first year with the CSS program. I took over for Christina Caden, who did a really fabulous job over the past 10 years developing and growing this program into what it is today. So I thought I'd give her a little shout out because she deserves a lot of credit. I'm from Nanaimo. I'm from Vancouver Island, as Stacy mentioned. I grew up playing all sorts of different sports, a lot of racket sports, tennis, badminton, volleyball as well, and skiing. And yeah, over the past few years, I've taught a variety of subjects: PE, digital media, careers, and English, to name a few. And I'm thrilled to be here at CSS in my first year, and I hope to continue and for many years to come. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the academic side of things, kind of the nitty-gritty, how we sort of get things done here behind the scenes, what kind of credits you're earning, and that kind of stuff. So here you are, here are the graduation requirements. So you can see the image on the right. These are your homeschool courses highlighted in blue. So this is sort of your science, your social studies, these required core courses. In red, you'll see the courses that we do here at CSS through Moodle. Courses such as individual sport training, cross training, active living, physical and health education, to name a few. The courses in gray you can take here at CSS or at your home school. Many students choose to take English online with us, but some like to take it at their home school. So there are options there. Okay, there is actually an alternative option, so you can take completely online courses through Moodle or Sides or whichever. But the majority of our students return to their home school after coming to CSS. Our students here, they're very self-motivated, dedicated, responsible, organized, independent. And you see the point at the bottom, a social aspect of school is not a need. So I definitely acknowledge that the social aspect of school is very important. But if you're coming to CSS, hopefully you're getting that social aspect in a different way. Next slide, thanks. So here are the courses that we offer here at CSS. The first one is individual sport training, A and B. So it's a full year course. A student will earn 8 credits, 4 in the first semester, 4 in the second. Assessment evaluation for this course comes in the form of a coaching evaluation. So we ask for 4 to 5 of these throughout the year. And your coach will evaluate your strengths, your areas of improvement. They will talk about your work habits, and he'll follow up with myself and Laura Ellen if necessary. We also have our sport performance course. It's a real jewel of the program, I think. On Mondays, we get seminars from all sorts of professionals. As Laura Ellen mentioned, we had one on nutrition this past Monday. We have sports psychologists come in or speak to us through Zoom. Physiologists, strength and conditioning coaches, to name a few. And you can see in the topics there, you have other subjects we cover. Next is we have PE, so our physical and health education, active living, and cross training. Credits for these courses are earned primarily through our Ignite program that Laura Ellen does with the students, but also some select seminars. We also offer career life education, Leadership 11, and CLC, which is Career Life Connections for our graduating students. These are graduation requirements. They are optional. We could take them here. Some students take them in their home school, but we have a great online setup for these courses. So we're proud to offer these. Okay, so as I mentioned, you can take English online. We actually have another teacher, Ms. Sarah Worrell, who does English with the students this year. Great benefits of this, face-to-face contact once a week, so the English teacher can check up with students. Students can pose any questions, concerns they may have to our English teacher once a week when they come in, or obviously through email. Another great thing about English, you just go back a bit, thanks, Laura Ellen. There's the calendar option to help students stay on track with accountability. So some students struggle with sort of self-pacing. A beauty of the English course is that our English teacher sets objectives and dates to hit. So it's a great option here at CSS. Go ahead, Laura Ellen, thanks. So when you're here at CSS, you're here for half the day, and half the day, so quarter, is spent with Laura Ellen doing Ignite training. The other hour and a half, the other half of that half day, quarter day, is spent in our classroom here in a study block. So it's primarily independent studying that occurs here, but also some exam prep, scholarship application assistance, goal setting, and other things. I love being here in the classroom. I think a great part of it is that our students, they're great at peer teaching. They really are they don't hesitate to help one another with their courses. If one student is maybe struggling in math, another student is very strong, that student will lend a hand. And it's been a common thing here at CSS, and it's very cool to see. Academic benefits. So the first one is support. You get support from myself, Laura Ellen, Sarah, who teaches English, as well as peers, like I mentioned, who always seem to be happy to lend a hand. There's less homework, less courses due, and there's more time to complete homework, so you can catch up on your sleep, recovery, and you have more time to train, since a lot of credits are earned through the training with Laura Ellen. So there's less stress, more balance. Balance is really the key to all this. We need to lead a balanced life, especially these students. They have very busy lives, and they find that they have a little bit more balance with CSS, managing sport, life, friends, social, everything. Academic credits. So like I said, they're given for our sport performance seminars. So that's part of our sport performance course. Credits earned through our Ignite athlete development. That's our strength training, sprinting, gymnastics, and also sport specific training. Obviously, a lot of athletes are spending countless hours a week training, and we're happy to give credits for that. So. Okay, so our standard, we have quite a high standard here in terms of work ethic, and we're quite proud of that. So our students who are looking to apply should make sure that they're earning E's and G's for their work habits. That's excellent and good. On their term 2, 3, and 4 report cards, applicants who do not meet the standard may be accepted conditionally and will be given the final term to meet it. Teachers are quite lenient, I find sometimes, so you can definitely speak with your teacher if you're maybe not hitting that average of G or E. Some tips for success: be proactive and communicate. So like I said, speak to your teachers, see, what do I need to do to earn that E or G for my work habit. Discuss the CSS standard with your teachers at your home school. See what you need to do to meet our standard. Like I said, get clarity on the expectations and check in regularly. Make sure you're on track in terms of your courses and everything, and making sure you're going to finish on time. Okay, so how are the courses going to fit? How is that all going to work? So come course selection time, which is, I think, approaching, try to request your core courses to be blocked together. So in one half of the day, since the other half of the day you'll be here at Pisces or at the gymnastics studio. So core courses in one half of the day. And if you can go ahead at Laura Ellen. Fill the other half of the day with electives, courses you could drop if you were accepted into CSS. Indicate if you would prefer morning or afternoon on your selection form, because we take that into account. And be sure to staple a counselor letter to your course selection form. If you have any more questions about this, you can email me. You saw my email there below. We can bring it up there at the end as well. Go ahead. So lastly, are you a good fit? Are you independently driven? Students here are very driven. I pinch myself every day I come in. I feel very lucky and honored to work with these students. They're extremely driven. They're very bright, and they work hard. They really care. They're responsible as well. So are you self-disciplined? Are you hardworking? These are all important attributes for us.
With that, I would like to introduce our final athlete speakers of the night. So Arden Ross is a second-year athlete at sports school, and I will let her tell you about her sports.
Okay. Hi, my name is Arden, and I've been in the Canadian Sports School for the past 2 years and have loved every minute of it. I'm in grade 12 at Lambert Park Secondary School. My primary sport is rowing, and my secondary sport is field hockey. Sports school has helped me grow as an athlete, student, and person. It has been life-changing for me. I am thankful to be part of this great community. It is difficult finding a balance between sports, academics, and life. I row about 6 to 8 times a week, 2 to 4 hours a day, playing field hockey, soccer, and balancing both practices, games, with recovery time. My time for anything else is very minimal, which means I have little time to do homework at night. When I come home, I'm usually exhausted. I just want to eat dinner and go to bed. Therefore, finding the energy and time to do work is very challenging. Along with moving some critical training inside the school day, we're allotted an hour to an hour and a half study block in the morning or afternoon sessions. Having this extra time to study allows me to lighten my evening homework schedule and to get the rest and recovery I need. The study block takes a bit of pressure off me, knowing I have some extra time the next day to study and get homework done I couldn't do the night before. In the study block, you will have your peers to help you with your courses. People are always willing to help you with online classes if they have taken the course before. Or you'll see an upper year helping a younger year in areas that are a strength for them. These tools have helped me maintain a straight 4.0 average, helping me in the process of applying to universities and receiving a full ride scholarship. Lastly, the weekly seminars gave me the tools I needed to develop as a complete student athlete. The topics and guest speakers allowed me to develop my leadership skills, enhance my knowledge of nutrition, and help me refine my goal setting skills. The knowledge I have acquired from these seminars has set me up for success. When talking to university coaches, finding the right foods to fuel my body, and setting my goals for the future. The building blocks that sports school have in place to support student athletes and their academics have contributed significantly to my success over the last 2 years. I wouldn't be in the same place I am now without the Canadian Sports School to help me balance my life as an athlete and as a student. Thank you.
Thanks, Arden. And our last speaker of the night is Remy Garrison. He is also a second-year athlete. And like I said, I'll let him speak to his sport.
Hey everyone, my name is Remy Garrison. I'm in grade 12 at Reynolds High School, and this is my second year in sports school. My sports are road and track cycling. In cycling, there are no university teams in Canada. So entering high school, I knew that my only opportunity for scholarships would come through my academics. And I truly believe that CSS has given me the best chance possible to achieve both my academic and athletic goals. Before sports school, I often found it difficult to find enough time to get my homework done. Going from school straight to training didn't leave a whole lot of time for work at home. But with CSS, there's a dedicated study block every day where you can get help from Martin or from your peers. The sports school classroom is a great learning environment where I'm with like-minded students who are all working hard on their classes. I'm confident that my grades would not be where they are today if it weren't for sports school. One great aspect of CSS is the online English class that is offered through ST62. The flexibility that this course offers is really awesome. For example, I'm in French immersion, so taking English online lets me take more classes in school that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to take. There's also no unexpected assignments or projects. Right from the beginning, you can see the schedule for the entire year with every assignment that you'll have to do. This is really helpful because it lets you plan around any competitions that you may have. So for me, I went to track cycling nationals in Ontario this past November. So in preparation, I made sure that I was ahead of schedule on English, so I wouldn't have to do any work while I was away, which was really nice. Sarah, the English teacher, also comes in on Thursdays, which is great if you need any help with assignments. The weekly seminars and seminar assignments are a great way to expand your knowledge on sport. We've had presentations from Olympians, professionals, dietitians, and mental performance consultants, among many others. These seminars have really helped me become a much more knowledgeable and well-rounded athlete, as I've learned about aspects of sport that I knew very little about beforehand. Looking to the future, I'm extremely excited to attend UVic for engineering this fall because I know that the Canadian Sports School has given me the tools I need to succeed. And as for sport, I will continue to train and race here in Victoria while working towards my high performance goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Remy. So how to apply. So if you think the sports school is a great fit for you, we're just going to go over a quick thing about applications. So applications will open up soon, and you can find the link for that through the Canadian Sports School website. You can see the link up here in the slide. You'll just hit applications and you'll see an Apply Victoria. So applications are going to open the 1st of March, and they stay open all the way through to the end of April. We do interview incoming students, and all interviews will take place in May. So what do we look for? Okay, so we look, when evaluating our athletes at sports school, we look at their athletic achievement. So a lot of our athletes right now are targeted by their provincial sport organization. Okay, so we look at the highest level of competition that they have and what they've competed at. Some of our athletes have gone to Team BC, as well as Winter Games. We also look at a coach recommendation. So the communication between coach and athlete is very important. It contributes to getting academic credit for that sport-specific training. Your coaches are responsible for giving you evaluation 5 times within the year. So to apply for the program, we also require that you have a coach recommendation to ensure that you have communicated your intention to to apply to sports school. And the second last one is a teacher recommendation. So the teacher recommendation needs to come from a core course, such as your sciences and your maths. And like Martin mentioned in his academic portion, is we look at the work habits, and we require that all students have excellent and good work habits. So for application tips, if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. The application should always be student athlete driven, okay, with the parent's support. You should understand your sport pathway. So your sport pathway, depending on what sport you're in, can be quite complex. CSI Pacific has a very good link on their website where each provincial sport organization has posted kind of standards of what it is to become targeted as an athlete. And this gives you a greater understanding of what your own sport pathway needs to look like, or some of the goals that you need to set for yourself to be a targeted athlete within that. The last thing is to check your emails. Okay. And with that, I will leave any application athletic questions for the end. I'm going to pass off to Stacy again.
Hello again. So to give you an idea of the fees, the tuition for the next school year is $3,250. There will be a deposit required on acceptance of $500, with the remainder being due by August. And we will notify successful applicants by probably mid-June if they are successful in getting into the program. So as I mentioned earlier, Pisces is a nonprofit charitable organization, which allows us to seek additional funding and run programs that are affordable. The true value of this program, we estimate, is a minimum of $6,000. So the price is very fair for the services being received and the extensive level of training. And again, the education is covered by School District 62, which we're so grateful for. I do also want to mention that no student will be turned away for financial reasons, and to please contact me confidentially for further information on that, as we do have some donors that like to support students in this area. And then just to note that transportation is the responsibility of students and their families. So getting between Pisces and their home school, or between Inspire Gymnastics and their home school and back to home. So we always like to mention that so people know what they're getting into. And usually we like to do our evening in person, but unfortunately we can't tonight. So we weren't able to give you a tour, but Pisces is an amazing facility. You can see some photos here of our outdoor spaces. And we have an amazing fitness center, gymnasium, movement studio, classroom for the students. So you can view more of our facilities on our website. Thank you. So that really concludes our presentation. We'd now like to open the floor to any questions. While people are maybe thinking of some questions, I do want to really thank all of our speakers, the students for taking the time. I know this is probably during some of your training time, so thank you to the student athletes for participating. And I do have quite a large Pisces team here as well, behind the scenes, helping support this. So thanks to our Pisces team. Well, I guess that's a good sign. We don't have any questions. Hopefully we answered everything for you. Oh, how many? Here we go. How many students do we currently have? We currently have 25 students, and we have maximum capacity of around 30. And usually there's about 15 students in the morning and 15 in the afternoon. Okay, that's a couple of questions. Okay, at an open house a couple of years ago, you mentioned an option to contract taxis to transport students. We did do that a few years ago, but it's quite an involvement for the coach and in coordinating. So it would be best for families to arrange an account with a taxi company privately to get that going. Inspire Sports for Gymnastics is located in the area of Uptown, and I don't have the address on hand, but it's just behind Uptown, across from the school district, the Greater Victoria School District Board office.
Stace, just to note on, so on the transportation, we have a lot of students like from all different schools, and some of them carpool as well to assist with that. In regard to coming in grade 12, it really depends on the application and if they are a good fit for the program. We do have a few athletes that have come in grade 12. It's not an issue at all. In regard to coming in grade 9, the reason why our program is grade 10 to 12, high school, from elementary to high school, there's a big transitional period for our student athletes. We did it, like I said, with the grade 12 student, it really depends on the application, but it has to be exceptional circumstances. We've only had one grade 9 athlete in the program ever. And we like to allow our students to adapt to high school first and then come in their grade 10 year.
I'm not sure if Wayne's still on the call. Wayne, we have a question about if they can do it from Francis Kelsey from School District 79. Are you able to help with that answer?
A very good question, as I look like I'm in the dark now. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, if overcoming the challenges of the transportation, we haven't branched out. It was mainly 61, 62, 63. But if you're in the Cowichan Valley School District, it's mostly on our end. You would, like all the students at all the other secondaries within those districts, you would just cross enroll at West Shore Center for Learning. So you maintain your primary enrollment at Francis Kelsey, and then to get the courses that Martin was looking at and LE were looking at there, we would cross enroll you to get those credits. So I don't see a problem if you don't see a problem with the transportation issue. Hope that helps.
Thanks, Wayne.
And I could talk about how many students we will be taking for next year. So like Stacy said, we have the max is 30. Right now we have about 10 athletes graduating out of our cohort of 25. We do require our returning athletes to reapply to the program. And sometimes, depending on the academic side, we have strong numbers always returning, but that really depends on each individual athlete. So on the spaces open for fall with 10 graduating, we have quite a few. But that really depends on if all our returning students reapply and come back. In regard to age, like I said, it's grade 10 to 12, so they're 15 all the way to 18. We have a multitude of sports that Stacy mentioned earlier. So from field hockey, volleyball, we have hockey, rowing, soccer. We have a climber as well this year. We've had basketball players in the past. And typically our cohort splits 50-50 in regard to gender. We've been quite lucky with that. And there is no option to hybrid between Victoria and Kelowna sports schools. Our sports school just operates in a completely different capacity. Like I know Kelowna sports school, they have a different coach for each Ignite athlete curriculum. So they have a specific speed coach, they have a specific strength coach, and they have a different gymnastics. Their weekly schedules are completely different. And the courses are somewhat similar, but not exactly the same. I hope that answers all those questions. Martin, do you want to speak to, there was a question about, do you balance the grades?
Do we balance the grades? I wasn't around for that that part at the beginning of the year, but I believe so. I think we try to, as best as we can, balance between 10, 11, and 12.
Yeah, and it really depends on the applications that we get. It's like somehow miraculously we end up with 15 students in the morning and 15 in the afternoon, and there's always quite a nice balance. But if we get 15 really great grade 12 students and not very many others, then that changes the balance a bit. But it is definitely considered.
And then there's a question for, are all sports considered, including non-Olympic sports? We look at athletic achievement, regardless of sport, of how far are they in their sport pathway. So it really depends on the application. We like to thoroughly go through each applicant, and that's why we interview them. When you in your application, and if you get accepted, you get to select your preference for morning and afternoon. In my 3 years, I have been able to accommodate every request in that regard. We sometimes have rotating schedules. I know Oak Bay used to have a rotating schedule where our athletes in one semester need to be in the morning and they need to be in the afternoon in the winter block. And I've always been able to accommodate that for our athletes.
Laura Ellen, there was a question about if we ever have basketball players.
Yeah, so in my 3 years, we haven't. But I know there have been basketball players in the past.
Can I weigh in on that one?
Of course.
So I believe it was about 4 years ago, we had, I think it was 5 or 6 of the Oak Bay top female senior basketball players all came together to train as a group. And I think their goal that year was to get into the B season through their training and having the half day to do that with their academic program. I believe they made it right to the finals and placed in the top 2 that year. So yes, we have had quite a few basketball players.
Thanks, Wayne. Participation in the school team. So all our athletes also participate on a club level. So typically not just their school team, they do their school team as a fun way to develop in their sport further, but they also typically either go to Team BC or Winter Games or just a little bit farther along that pathway. Yes, so the sport pathway is considered in the context of specific sports. If you are, like I said, it's quite a complex system depending on what sport you're in. What you can do is go to the CSI Pacific website, and they have a lot of information on all their sport organizations and what each sport organization sets as criteria for an athlete to be in a specific part of the pathway. So our athletes are considered provincial development 2. If you move up a level, you become provincial development 1, and then you can become Sport Canada carded, or depending on your sport, such as football, there are there's a professional sector in that as well. So it really depends on the sport and how your sport organization will target those athletes. If that makes sense. Please tell me if it doesn't.
I can just also add, Laura Ellen, that we do consider that over the past couple of years, there haven't been some BC winter games and summer games due to COVID. So we definitely do consider that on the applications as well, and know that there hasn't been as much opportunity for that type of competition.
I can answer the next question. So if you had to miss 2 weeks, I'll use Rhys, who spoke earlier. So she's a tennis player who travels all over the world to compete. I sometimes have her for a few weeks and then she's gone for a month. She does all her courses online to allow for this. And I work with her outside of that to make sure that she has everything she needs on the training side of things. We also had, I'll use another example. in kind of the background part of the presentation, Mel Pemble, who was a Paralympian, she was doing that while she was in sports school. So she was actually traveling for half the year in that aspect. It just takes a very highly motivated student as well as athlete, but especially on the academic side. All the seminars are recorded as well. So if our athletes miss seminars, they can still catch up on those assignments. So I can answer, I'm just going to keep answering. Do some of the athletes miss a day or day a week for their sports school games, their school sports games, sorry, during the season? Very sport dependent. It is quite rare. We do have, that's the beauty of sports school, is it happens during the day. I work with, right now we have quite a handful of volleyball athletes on the male side, and they had provincials for about a week. And I just make sure that they're prepared for that. And they don't really typically have to miss sessions unless it's absolutely necessary. Like Tommy said earlier, you can always do something as well.
These are all really great questions. Thank you for asking them. And if anyone's more comfortable doing it through their screen, that's fine too. We'll just give a moment for any other questions to pop through or to be spoken. So please feel free to reach out to us. All of our contact is on the website, and we really look forward to seeing some applications come through. Laura Ellen, do you have anything to add?
No, I would like to thank our student speakers. You all did quite amazing. And I know speaking can be quite nerve-wracking. I still get nervous myself. And thank you to all our program partners, as well as the people that attended. I look forward to seeing your applications if you decide to apply.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night and stay in touch.